that he had a Phyrexian Tower to combo with his Academy Rector like we did in Bargain Type 2 back in the day, and he has that as well. So there's a lot going on.
There's also about 1 million one-ofs as Sam is going to play a Deathrite Shaman off of a Bayou. We're going to watch James also sacrifice a Verdant Catacombs. We're talking about James's deck so much. Sam is just playing combo elves, really just straightforward, rather boring stuff on that side of the table. James's deck is it's kind of the cool thing that's going on, so I'm excited to see it.
Sam has become kind of recently infatuated with combo elves.
Yeah. Sam is looking for the best deck to cast Cabal Therapy in. This is what he feels right now is the best deck, even though he's being targeted by Cabal Therapy.
Irony of ironies. Now, Bayou plus Deathrite Shaman actually masks a lot of openings. Maybe James knows exactly what Sam is playing.
Yeah, and he's going to name Glimpse. So he's not going to find one. He's going to see 2 Elvis Visionaries, a Deathrite Shaman, a Green Sun Zenith, and a Windswept Heath are the cards that are hanging out right now. So, Therapy misses, and now Sam, one tap will take a turn. Sam probably doesn't know he's up against just yet, but he'll find out really soon, I think, if the Veteran Explorer does come down on the table. Now, if you're looking for one-ofs in this deck, it's pretty sweet. You got 1 Sun Titan, 1 Thragtusk, 1 Sigarda, 1 Baneslayer Angel, 1 Thrun the Last Troll, a Witness, a Gaddock Teeg, a Spirit of the Labyrinth, a Scavenging Ooze, a Sylvan Ranger. Yeah, that's right.
I would love to live in this idealized world where cards like Baneslayer Angel would make a dramatic impact in this game. I suspect that will not be the case. At least game 1, I believe Sam's deck is just too ruthless, unless James is able to find a copy of Pernicious Deed pronto.
Yeah. I'm inclined to agree. He does have 3 copies of that, though, so he could find one. Sam is going to work his way towards probably something pretty nice here. Again, he's got a couple copies of Elvish Visionary.
Again, earlier permutations of this elf deck was sort of tied to going off with Glimpse. That was the way this deck won. Now that Natural Order for Craterhoof Behemoth is an angle this deck has access to, it requires much less of a critical mass to actually win the game. Sam can build up a board, play a Gaia's Cradle, and win from there. He doesn't have to go off through Glimpse.
Sam's got that brain working now. He's going to remove the Cabal Therapy. I actually like that play by Sam. Maybe he knows what he's up against because he immediately removed Cabal Therapy with Deathrite Shaman. And the fact that this deck actually kind of relies on Cabal Therapy to turn on Veteran Explorer and Academy Rector, probably pretty nice to play there by Sam.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. You know, there's a bunch of decks that James could potentially be playing, but a Bayou and a Cabal Therapy usually represent something pretty specific.
Also, you have to believe that Sam knows the power of Cabal Therapy.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when he has 2 Elvish Visionaries in his hand, so he decides, you know what, get that out of here, and we'll go from there. We'll see what you're up to.
A potential issue in this matchup for James is that Sam can actually capitalize on Veteran Explorer himself. He has a lot of demands for mana. He has 2 basic forests, so if Sam is conscious of the lands he fetches up, he can actually go get lands with Veteran Explorer and potentially do something very productive with the mana.
There's a Sword Stick here with Deathrite Shaman. So I'm sure Sam is probably pretty happy with that exchange because he gets to really get to work this turn. He's got more mana than his opponent due to that Deathrite Shaman, a couple lands in hand, Elvish Visionary, and Heritage Druid. The Elves deck has no problem generating a bunch of mana, so we'll see exactly what Sam can do on this 3rd turn of the game. He's going to start by drawing a card with the Visionary. You see, he does have a couple copies of Zenith in his hand, the Heritage Druid there as well. Exactly how far does he want to go down this rabbit hole?
He's a little bottlenecked on mana right now. He doesn't have Gaia's Cradle.
Going to remove a card there from the graveyard of Hammies, and that is the Druid and pass the turn back. I think the big plan here is to have a huge turn next turn as Cabal Therapy is the draw for James.
Now, I think that James is probably going to want to use an Eternal Witness here and get back his Source of Plowshares if he can, because there's a threat of it getting removed at a moment's notice with this Deathrite Shaman that Sam has.
There's a basic forest. Again, Hammis' deck is going to have more basics because of Veteran Explorer, 3 forests, 2 plains, 2 swamps. Cabal Therapy, pick a card, any card. Sam will play him face up. There goes the Visionary that he knew about. You see the 2 Zeniths along with a Viridian Shaman. And now this is where things will get a little fun. Okay, I thought it was going to be actually the Sylvan Ranger. It's going to be a Zenith for 1, which will allow him to go get Veteran Explorer. So I guess this is still technically fun.
Okay.
Going to flashback the Cabal Therapy. Sam is going to go grab his deck and say, hey, I don't mind any lands here. Thank you much. I've got a couple basics. And don't forget, those basics do come to play untapped from Veteran Explorer.
It's a big turn from James.
Yeah. He's ramping.
And Sam's not going to have a lot of action left. Of course, he's got big draws from here.
Yeah,
But
huge draws. One natural order, this game might just be over immediately. And there goes Zenith. He's just left with the Viridian Shaman, which, taking a look at as far as targets are concerned, there are not very many.
Sensei's Divining Top.
Yeah,
Doesn't really count.
that's an artifact. You can get it. If you try hard enough, you can get it. Hamas is just going to pass the turn back here, so he's done a nice job of ramping. Sam with just a couple of L's in his hand. Gonna start by attacking for 2. Deathrite Shaman's gonna hang out, prepared to activate. So Black will put Hamas down a little lower and just simply pass the turn back. And that is a Baneslayer Angel.
Perhaps I spoke too soon. My apologies to all Baneslayer Angel enthusiasts out there.
What do you know?
This seems like one of those times where we're rigging the commentary, but this just kind of happened.
Sometimes things just fall in line, Patrick. See a wooded foothills coming to play here for Black, and he has to pass the turn back in the face.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness is right. There's a Pernicious Deed. Couldn't cast that one fast enough. And get in there, Baneslayer Angel. Oh, it's going down like this.
And James still has Eternal Witness in hand, so he can get this deed back.
I would blow that up right away. He's only going to blow it for 1. Deathrite Shaman are going to go active. Okay, yeah, looks like he only blew it for 1. He gets to keep the Elvish Visionary, which is a little bit surprising. I wonder if that'll come back to hurt.
Sam does have a copy of Progenitus in his deck. You do not see this in every Elf slot. Yes.
Okay. And now there is the Sylvan Ranger.
Although in this position, James can actually potentially erase a Progenitus with Baneslayer Angel.
Things I didn't think we'd say today.
That's happening.
Sylvan Ranger, the 2-mana elf that allows you to search up a land. M11 Superstar.
Yep.
Now, it's not Borderland Ranger, but I'm a little biased because I love Borderland Ranger.
Well, in Legacy, speed kind of takes the front seat.
For you, maybe.
You got to move fast.
I like a good 3-mana 2/2 in Legacy.
One could argue Sylvan Ranger is a little too slow for Legacy as it stands. So.
But we don't want to start that debate. Let's see what Sam picks up this turn. The funny thing here is that if Sam is able to pick up a copy of Glimpse of Nature, things probably get really crazy. So he can probably just start chaining off. But he doesn't have one just yet, and I think he's making a decision on if he wants to maybe wait or maybe deploy a little something here as he's being beaten down by Baneslayer Angel, and he is going to wait. So Hamas will get to take a draw. Can't wait to see what his deck's going to find this go-around.
Yeah, he's got a lot of big draws, of course.
Eternal Witness may be cast here. Of course, is good. As that card is, Baneslayer Angel a little bit better right now. Going to put Black down to 11. James is going to go up to 22.
And this is a small thing, but I like the idea of attacking with the Sylvan Ranger there as well. As Sam either trades, which is good against a potential Gaia's Cradle down the road, or it knocks Sam down to 10, which cuts a turn off the clock that Baneslayer Angel is producing.
Deed in play. Can Black work his way through a deed? There's a Cradle. Just has to pass the turn back. Maybe hoping that Hamas makes some sort of error. But I think if Hamas just leaves his mana up for the Pernicious Deed, he's probably good to go.
Yeah, and he's developing a cushion life total-wise here.
In comes Baneslayer again. Black down to 6. Hamas up to 27. What are we seeing here? Both these players at 5-1-1. Still within top 8 contention as Hamas just passes the turn back. Black will draw a card. It's a Glimpse.
Okay. Well,
he's got to try.
That's a start.
There's a Glimpse. Is this okay? That's the question. Is he going to blow deed in response? Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
I don't love that play.
And I think James really needed to be attacking in these previous turns.
Yeah. Now Sam is going to start by casting a Grand Ranger. That's going to allow him to draw a card. He's going to follow this up with Inherited Truth. That's going to allow him to draw a card. Let's see if he can chain all the way off now, because he's got a Cradle out there too.
I believe he's just drawing a second Glimpse.
Yeah.
So depending on the extent of the cheap creatures left over in his hand, he might be able to fully go this turn.
Yeah, let's keep in mind he has not played a land yet this turn. Again, I think a little hasty there with the Pernicious Deed was James. We'll see if it's going to come back to hurt him or not.
It doesn't take much of a base for this deck to go off.
See, Sam is starting to work the math out here. He's going to start by sacrificing Wood and Fiddle. He's going to go down to 5, so Baneslayer Angel will be lethal next turn.
Yeah, that's a critical point of damage that Sam's taking here.
I was curious if he was going to search up Dried Arbor or go for a land that actually taps for mana, as Dried Arbor would actually provide mana from the guy's Cradle, but he says, I want a land that actually taps for mana. So here's another glimpse. Now he's going to start drawing 2 cards with every single creature he casts. Taps the Bayou.
Yeah,
this is a Quirion Ranger.
I like getting a land that can make mana here because Sam just needs a lot of mana to go off this turn.
This is 3 mana. Cradle will be the last thing that Sam uses. He'll get to die at the ready. Wow, so nice of Sam to help us. Down to 2. 2 cards coming. Let's see what the follow-up's going to be. Down to 1. 2 cards coming. He drew Progenitus among those cards. None floating. How about 2 more cards? Thank you much. Now, Sam only started this turn with the Elvish Visionary, so all the elves he's putting into play, they can't attack. 1 and 2. Don't forget, as well, Patrick has not played land yet this turn. So any backup Cradles that he does draw, he can actually use, as he's going to get really deep into his deck now. Wirewood's going among the draws here. Nettle Sentinel is going to allow him to go a little crazy. 2 more cards. Draws another copy of Glimpse, so now it can be 3 cards every single time. The Cradle right now will tap for 9 green mana. This is the definition of going off.
Yeah, I haven't seen a Glimpse kill in a really long time. Normally this deck just wins through natural order for Craterhoof at this point.
Black is going to use his Quirion Dryad. He'll turn it the other way. It's going to pick up a land. It's actually going to replay this land. So the ability to use Cradle is gone. I think he may use the Quirion Ranger wrong. Yeah, he picks up a forest and untaps a creature, not a land. So he's going to untap Finhorn Elf. So we have make it so there's 3 elves. So there we go. We're all fixed now. Picks up land. Has not played a land yet still. So 3 green floating. He's going to cast a Glimpse.
So this is his 3rd Glimpse this turn.
3 draws every time. Untaps a green creature. Of course, Nettle Sentinel will able to play a green spell. Quirion Ranger is going to maybe untap Skis. Looks like he might use both of these now. Pick up 2 forests, untap 2 creatures. Yep, pick up 2 forests, untap 2 green creatures. This allowed him to make some more mana. Again, he has not used his Cradle yet this turn, so he's going to go up some green. Like up to 5. So he's going to be even. Let's see if he remembers his Nettle Sentinel trigger as well. Drew Craterhoof Behemoth. And it looks like he may have forgotten his Nettle Sentinel trigger. Now, what's always interesting with this deck, too, is that those triggers, if you're not familiar, and it looks like, depending on the sequencing and how he stacked it, he'll still be able to tap because he hasn't made a move forward yet.
Yeah, unclear if anything got announced.
Yeah. 1 green left. Gonna play Deathrite Shaman. Peel 3 more cards. 3 green here. Up to 4. That's a Druid. 3 more cards coming. How many Craterhoofs? 1 or 2? Just 1.
He has 1 in the deck.
So does this Craterhoof actually have to attack for
27?
27? Challenge accepted, I guess.
Yep. I don't see any other way for Sam. I don't see any way for Sam to win this game this turn other than through that road.
He's got to be really careful because every creature that he plays, he draws 3 cards. It says whenever you play a creature, draw a card. It's not a you may draw a card. Oh, you have to draw a card. Now how about 4 cards? 3 for that. He should draw 1 from the Visionary too, so there's that trigger. And again, he started the turn with only Elvish Visionary in play.
Yeah. Again, this is the ability of the deck to go from 0 to 60. I mean, we're talking from no base, he's able to do this. But it's unclear if he can actually piece together a kill.
There's a real possibility that he might just deck himself. So he may have cast too many Glimpses, which is a crazy thing to actually say. There's this.
Well, it's possible he just needs to get literally every creature into play that he controls.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a realistic possibility. The problem is every creature he plays, he draws 3 cards.
Yeah.
So by doing that, every creature just lowers the size of his deck, and can he actually play every creature and draw all of the cards and still be able to attack with Craterhoof Behemoth for lethal? That's the real problem here, I think. Because don't forget, Craterhoof Behemoth, when he casts that, that's 3 more cards.
Right. So he actually has to stop with 3 cards or more left in his deck.
You saw him just count his deck.
Yeah.
Wondering how deep can I go? Now, let's not forget, one of the cards that he can cast is Natural Order. That'll get a creature. That doesn't make him draw any cards, but actually doesn't. That actually isn't net even. It's just like a creature to get a guy. So
not neutral.
Yeah. See Sam counting here.
This is crazy. With a second Crater Hoof in his deck instead of the Progenitus,
He would win easily.
Yeah.
He would win so easily. Bunch of green mana now. A Dried Arbor he could play since he hasn't played a land. There's also the very real possibility here that if Sam just cast Crater of Behemoth, James could just concede, thinking that he is dead.
Yeah, sure.
And that might be what Sam is hoping for. So Sam is going to play as... Okay, this will actually help. Zenith actually allows him to get creatures in play. Again, he's got to be mighty careful. Ah, okay, okay. I see what he's doing. So what he can do is he can Zenith for 0 and keep putting the Zeniths back into his deck, and he can draw them. And so I think he might be able to create some sort of infinite loop here where he Zeniths for 0 a bunch and doesn't deck himself and still be okay.
Okay.
I think that's what he's going to try to do. Look at Sam
But
seeing all the angles.
does that assume that Sam is able to go fully infinite to execute this?
Well, he should be able to go. He should be able to go fully infinite because of Nettle Sentinel.
Okay,
Yeah,
sure.
so he should be able to generate infinite mana because every Zenith's going to tap the Sentinels. And so long as he actually has 3 Nettle Sentinels in play, he can go tap 3, Zenith for 0. The Nettle Sentinels will untap. And he's actually netting mana doing that. And so he's going to have to go through this really convoluted game plan of just continuously doing this. And you see that's why he has all the dice. But I think he should be able to get this done. And Virtual Ranger will actually make it even easier now. So there's 3 more cards added. As long as he keeps his library count a specific number so that when he glimpses, he doesn't deck himself.
It needs to be essentially multiples of 3.
Yeah. Yep. The important thing here is that none of those creatures that are in play can attack. The only creature that can actually attack is the Crater of Behemoth that he's going to try to kill James with.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 13. So he's still actually well short because of this Baneslayer Angel.
Yeah. Yeah, James being at 27 actually matters a lot here. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There's 16 creatures in play. 16 plus 5 is 21. So right now, Crater of Behemoth would be a 21. Because it's a 5/5 on its own.
Yep.
And then it counts every other creature that's in play. So with the four Rangers, a Heritage Druid, the Visionary count. Yeah, you see Sam doing all the counting here as he actually finally plays his first land of the turn, which is the Dried Arbor. Never played a replacement Cradle. Now Dried Arbor will actually add to the count as well for Crater of Behemoth. So Sam is doing the math here. Now, the big issue here, Patrick, is that 2 of the Zeniths were taken down by that Cabal Therapy.
Yeah.
So the fact that he could have looped them a bunch actually made this really easy. Now, he's going to draw 3 more cards here off the Nettle Sentinel. That's going to untap those. But if he had 3 Zeniths left, this would actually be very easy.
Yeah, the loop would be very easy to establish, yeah.
1, 2, 3. So he draws 2 of the Zeniths. He's going to set all the Nettle Sentinels aside. This also would be very easy if Glimpse didn't force you to draw a card, but that's neither here nor there. You will draw and you will like it. So here's a bunch of green mana. Yeah, so there's 2 Zeniths. He'll do 1 at a time here, of course. The reason for that is that he can untap these, add more green mana and do it again. So in comes the Zenith, 2 cards left in Sam's deck. Kind of ironic that therapy hitting, see, we've got the 2 card deck. Yeah, the therapy hitting the 2 Zeniths really messed this up. Oh, wait.
And there's so many small things that led to the game state that we've gotten to right now. And, you know, if James is attacking there and there's 1 less creature in play potentially to start this turn, who knows if Sam hits a bottleneck much earlier on.
The other interesting too, don't forget, is that Sam's last card that he has to cast is actually Crater of Behemoth, because it's going to trigger 3. So we can't forget about that either. It's interesting, if he had only cast 2 Glimpses, he may have actually still gotten the job done.
Well, it's possible he was close to fizzling.
Yeah, I mean, it's hindsight, obviously. want to see if he knows exactly what could end up happening here. This is really interesting to me. If he knows that things can go really, really poorly for him. Let's not forget either, if James gets another turn, he has another copy of Pernicious Deed in his hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's game multiple times over.
that is it.
And a lethal attacker. He still has Baneslayer that's representing.
Yeah, that's
lethal.
true too.
Yeah.
That's true too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 4 Rangers is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 plus 5 is 20. I don't know if he can do it.
You see all those creatures in hand he cannot cast because he gets decked.
Yeah. I don't know if he can do it.
Yeah, it's crazy how much not having access to the third Zenith matters.
And again, none of these creatures have haste besides Crater Hoof.
Yeah.
So the thing I was thinking he could maybe do is say, all right, I'm going to play a Deathrite Shaman. You know, I'll untap Deathrite Shaman and use it. But that's not true. He can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so Sam might be asking if any creatures were actually in play, and the answer is no. No creatures were actually in play. So he's going to emphatically cast a Crater Hoof Behemoth. He's going to tap Nettle Sentinels. He's going to draw 3 cards from Glimpse. He's going to untap that, and that Elvish Visionary cannot attack.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
this is going to be an interesting situation here on what to do, because I think that they thought that was still in play.
Right.
And James asked, I think Sam asked James, did I have any creatures in play to start?
The Visionary was something sick.
Yeah, James asked, did he have any creatures in play to start? And he didn't, because what happened is he blew up the deed.
In response to the Glimpse,
He blew the deed for 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to see what ends up happening here as far as ruling is concerned, because I think Sam asked James if he had any creatures in play, and James said, yeah, you had the Visionary in play, forgetting about what happened with the Pernicious Deed at the start there. So we're going to actually get in contact with the table spotter really quick here. 1 second.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like, I mean, if we recall the match correctly, it sounds like James may have confirmed that it was not summoning sick.
Yeah, so I think Sam asked if this was summoning sick or not, and James said no, it was not. So James actually confirmed that it was not summoning sick. James had felt it was in play, I think, forgetting exactly what happened with the Pernicious Deed. So,
I mean, if there's an agreement on game state there, then I don't know what to do. We've communicated to the powers that be.
yeah, both players agreed that they thought the Elvish Visionary was in play from the start. I think forgetting about the Pernicious Deed that did happen there, and that's not a game state that you can rewind.
Right, and again, it's easy to understand what the confusion happened because Sam's turn took 20 minutes, and there was an Elvish Visionary in play to start his turn, so you understand where the confusion comes from. But if memory serves, James does respond to the Glimpse by deeding away what was left of Sam's board.
That's a really interesting situation on how it just goes about being handled. It's really strange.
I mean, once both players are, shaking hands and whatever else, then you move on to the next one.
Because, all the events that transpired happened so long ago as Sam was going through all that work trying to go off. Then he finally is able to go off. And, you remember the one Elvish Visionary that Sam started the turn with, but you forget that it was blown away by the deed because it happened, 7 or 8 minutes ago?
Right. No, longer. I would say longer than that.
Yeah. And then there are obviously so many things taking place, and Sam trying to figure out what to do with the Zeniths and everything of that nature, realizing that his Zenith plan gets blown up because he only has 2 instead of 3.
So moving on to game 2, I suppose.
Yeah. Both players agree on the game state. I don't think there's anything else you can really do about it. So Sam Black able to win game number 1 there with combo elves over James Hammy's playing Nick Fit. We'll take a look at the sideboards here. You've got a Fleshbag Marauder, a Karakas, a Bajuka Bog, an Ethersworn Canist, an Ashen Rider, a Kasali Pride Mage, a Phyrexian Revoker, 2 Thoughtseizes, 2 Carpet of Flowers, 2 Mindbreak Traps of Humility, and a Batterskull on the board here. Unsurprisingly, none of these cards particularly great against combo elves. Do you even really like anything here? Maybe the Canonist, and that's it?
I like Humility.
Okay.
I like Humility just fine.
A little bit slow. makes a lot of James's creatures pretty poor because he's not really abusing humility like
Right.
we've seen with other decks. You know, like much earlier with the Thopter Foundry deck that we saw Rabvaka playing, where you know he plays Thopter Foundry Sword and makes 1/1s, and then your creature on 1/1s when he has humility in play, so he actually just wins the war because he can make infinite creatures. That's not the case here.
Yeah, I mean, he can still try to set up a board where he has some commanding creature in play, deeds for a bunch, clearing out Sam's stuff and the humility, and it can take over from there.
On the other side,
We got a Galactique, a Critterhoof Behemoth, 3 Cabal Therapies, 3 Thoughtseizes, Natural Order, a Confusion in the Ranks, a World Spine Worm, a Scavenging Ooze, and 3 copies of Abrupt Decay. Do you think he wants to discard in this matchup?
kind of tough to name.
I mean, the Thoughtseize.
Thoughtseize is fine.
Therapy.
Yeah,
So
Thoughtseize is fine. There's. I wouldn't be surprised if Sam brought in Galactique, just because you know it's kind of weird on what he's up against. You know, do you have any spells that cost more mana? I like the idea of Natural Order here to go get Progenitus because it's actually really good against this deck, ignoring the last situation. Ooze is okay. World Spine Worm is probably actually pretty good to Natural Order for. So I think it's actually an interesting situation on what he can board in.
Well, I don't know if he can necessarily just bring in Galactique because he has the Zenith of his own. So he has to be pretty certain that Galactique is going to be good against his opponent before he can bring it in.
Yeah. Either way, both players are going to take a look at the hands here. James is going to take a mulligan.
Just a reminder, at the end of this round, you are 6-2 or better, and have not yet filled out tax paperwork.
Sam looks like he's going to take a mulligan too.
Or just randomly looking at the bottom of his deck, whichever.
That's fine. Whatever. The bottom of the deck wasn't good, so he's going to take a mulligan.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
You need to have filled out a W-9 in order to claim your prize. If you have
So we'll
not
see.
done so,
I think that mulligans favor Sam greatly.
Yeah, James's deck is really, I mean, he needs so many resources. You're looking at cards like Sun Titan and Thragtusk. He needs so much mana. He needs Veteran Explorer essentially to get all this stuff going, and he not only does he need Veteran Explorer, but a sack outlet to get the engine running at all. We're not even talking about winning the game. We're just talking about getting up and running. On the other side of it, Sam mulliganing means that Pernicious Deed is much more likely to just end the game.
Yeah.
He won't have the resources to battle through it.
All right, so both players going down to 6. We'll be underway in game number 2 here in just a moment. Again, sitting at 5-1-1. No guarantee that if they win, they make top 8, by the way.
Yeah, we were very close to having a 10-rounder today.
376.
And the low 400s is what is required for a 10-rounder.
Yeah, yeah.
So that means it's just going to require much tougher records.
You know, it depends on when the draws happen and things of that nature. And when you get a draw and a loss, you leave it up to the tiebreakers, which is not an enviable spot to be in. But all you can do is keep winning, which is what both of these players have done thus far. James does not look thrilled about his hand at all.
James is also a deck where Sam can realistically just beat him down.
For sure. For sure. All right, there's a Windswept Teeth. So here's a Bayou.
Sometimes it surprises me that these various Nick Fit style decks don't play some regular mana accelerants.
Birds, no wires,
Yeah. I mean, I see them from time to time in some lists, but it seems like you're really leaning very heavily on this creature resolving and being good.
Why go regular when you can get a Veteran Explorer out there?
Sure.
Have you considered that?
Well, not really, no. It looks as though James has brought in his copy of Mindbreak Trap.
Don't catch him off guard.
Well, it can be very good in certain spots.
Yeah, there will be others where it's quite poor. Veteran Explorer feeling a tough guy. Wow, Sam blocks. Well, Sam would only get to search for 1 land as opposed to 2. I would have been very, very surprised. But if he blocks there, he's probably killing him the next turn.
Exactly.
It's a risky attack.
Only 2 forests in Sam's deck, so.
And again, a lot of these decks only play 1, but Sam has 2. Sam also has the main deck Progenitus, as you did mention. A lot of people have 2 main deck Critter Behemoths.
Yeah.
So definitely some different takes here on the old combo elf strategy.
The Progenitus is good against different stuff.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we've actually seen, Natural Order Progenitus be a thing. Here's a forest for James. He's going to attack for 1 yet again.
It usually makes more sense to have it in the board because it's a good plan against removal-heavy strategies.
There's a Zenith for 2. Let's see, what can 2 be here in the old Nick Fit deck? A lot of options. You got a Galactique, you got a Spirit of the Labyrinth, you got News, you got a Sylvan Ranger. You get some sideboard cards. James goes through the deck. This time, we've got a Gaddock. All right, that'll shut off Zenith's moving forward.
For both players.
Black and a sacrifice. The old Verdant Catacombs. Maybe you go searching for a Dryad Arbor here.
Although James also has the ability to remove his own Gaddock from play, which gives him a little more flexibility. Bringing in cards that tag both players. He has Cabal Therapy, he has Phyrexian Tower, so he can shut down Sam's Zeniths, which are probably more important for him than for James. And additionally, James has the ability to get his Gaddock off the table if it should serve to do so.
All right, well, Sam will not get to untap that Nettle Sentinel, but he does roll off a Glimpse, so this could get really interesting. Yeah, there's a Glimpse, so this could be a big turn here. Now, of course, Sam does not get to cast Natural Order or Zenith, so he's got to work a little harder here. Now, if he works his way into a Cradle, things get mighty interesting. He's going to pick up a Forest. Again, he has not played a land yet this turn.
Yeah, this might be one of those smaller setup terms. Sam has another Glimpse in his hand, so he can develop a large board this turn with the intent of winning next turn.
It wouldn't surprise me if he could have a big turn here too, if he has a Heritage Druid type card. Can't cast Zenith, of course, but he can do some other things. There's another copy of Nettle Sentinel. That'll draw him a card. Again, he has not played a land yet this turn. He searched for the land last turn on Hammy's end step. So now he's going to play a Forest. And a simple attacker for 2. Any trades?
Probably not.
No, 0 trades. There's a Deathrite Shaman. That'll untap that. That allows him to draw a card. As you mentioned, the small turn into the big one is what we look like we just saw. Looks like Sylvan Ranger just came rolling off the top there for James.
Nice.
And there it is. It is nice. He's going to be able to search. There's a Swamp. The ability to cast Abrupt Decay right now for James if he'd like to. And there is your Ranger Danger.
Yeah, unfortunately, this ship may have sailed on that being that productive. James may have to take care of Deathrite Shaman this turn, or maybe Aquarian Ranger to prevent some development, but one-for-one trades are not going to be that significant.
Just simply passing the turn back with Abrupt Decay at the ready, and of course, Veteran Explorer prepared to block.
I'm a little surprised James didn't use the Abrupt Decay last turn.
Yeah, might be using it in response this go around. We'll see. There's a Deathrite Shaman. Trigger, take a draw. Black still hasn't played land yet, and he's not found a Cradle. Again, don't forget, can't cast Natural Order. Gonna remove the Windswept Heath. Gonna pick up a land, untap the Dryad Arbor, so Aquarian Ranger has been used. There's an Elvish Visionary.
And Sam has found the Cradle.
There's the Cradle. There's 7 mana. Sam turned the Aquarian Ranger upside down, let everybody know that it has been used. 7 mana. Again, no natural orders allowed here. There's a Deathrite Shaman. That'll draw him a card. 5. Deathrite Shaman. Can't trip in. Wirewood lets him go even deeper. 4. Draw a card.
Wirewood's a big draw there.
Yeah. 1 land in the green red to remove to Deathrite Shaman. Gonna use Wirewood. Gonna untap that. Gonna pick up this elf. You gotta love the synergies in this deck.
Oh, there's so many. A lot of awesome interlocking pieces.
Down at 2. That'll be Peel 2. 1 from Glimpse, 1 from Elf itself. And oddly enough, this might just be another setup turn, which is a ridiculous thing to say, but it might be a turn where it's just like, okay, I have 7 cards in my hand at the end of this turn. I found my Behemoth. There's a Scavenging Ooze. Gonna draw a card. I can do some sort of attacking, maybe, maybe not, because I don't want to give you Lance with Veteran Explorer, and then I just pass back.
Yeah, Sam might actually be able to build up a board here where he kills James in 1 shot.
Yeah.
Of course, he would like to avoid killing the Veteran Explorer if possible, because you don't know what James could have in the offering, but...
Also wouldn't be surprised here. You know, there's a real risk, right? He could sit here and wait, or he could shove in. If he waits, James could just draw a Deed and just destroy everything. Well, that's a real concern. I don't know if he can actually even... Deed might be good regardless.
Yeah, Deed might be good regardless. What is noteworthy is Sam can try to build up a hand that can still go off next turn into the face of his board getting wiped. Or not necessarily go off, but at least rebuild.
Well, Abrupt Decay still there in James's hand, and all he can do is draw and pass the turn back. So black is going to untap some stuff here. We're going to see him use the wire with somebody in the end of turn. Going to maybe untap. Yeah, it's going to return that so that he can draw more cards, get a little bit deeper in his deck. Because it looks like right now he's just looking for Crater Hoof. He's got Natural Order in his hand. He can't cast it because of the Gaddock Teague. So now he's going to simply untap, and he's going to use the engine that is very powerful in this deck, which is Wirewood Simulate plus Elvish Visionary.
Yeah. And he's well into hard cast Crater Hoof Behemoth territory.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Looks like around 10. Yeah. Down 8. Take a draw. I thought that was the Crater for a minute. I think it's just a land.
Yeah. Yeah, Sam's hand right now appears to be just lands. He has 3 copies of Natural Order, and he has a Viridian Shaman. So not a lot to do.
Yeah. He's going to thin his deck by a card here. Use the Verdant Catacomb, search out a Bayou.
He can also go into plan B, which is softening up James a little bit with these Deathrite Shaman activations.
One fell swoop. Could be what we see here.
I think Sam still wants to build up a board through Visionary and Symbiote a little bit.
So he's got some mana here. Gonna use Wirewood, pick that up, no surprise. Add some mana. Gonna replay Wirewood. Down to 6.
+1 floating off on the side.
Deathrite, gonna remove.
And I'd be surprised if Sam's ready to move on an attack here just yet. I mean, he still has to be concerned a little bit about this Veteran Explorer dying.
Yeah, just what can it ramp into? Because right now James isn't doing anything. You have to imagine, hey, he's not doing anything. There's a chance he just has some super expensive cards in his hand. And what do I care about that, right?
Right. I don't know, it feels like a big risk to send in this turn. Especially when you can, say, untap, Deathrite Shaman him, and then attack with a bunch of stuff. You got that play afforded to you next turn.
There's also, well, I guess since he's already used his Wirewood, that plays out the window. But there's also the play, right, where you attack, and then before blocks, you just pick up the creature that's blocked by Wirewood.
Sure, yep.
But he's already used his Wirewood this turn, so it doesn't really work the way that I think Sam wants it to. As you see, Sam's actually doing a bunch of math to see if he should attack with everything yet. He's putting the blockers, he's putting the proposed blockers in front of proposed stuff, and I think he's just going to say go. Yep, that's exactly what he's going to do. James going to play a Windswept. He's going to sacrifice that maybe? Sam needed to discard.
His hand's just basically nothing.
Yeah. Sam may not have passed the turn just yet, so there's a Windswept Heath. And that's the passing of the turn. This is a Deathrite Shaman. Going to remove Natural Order. Obviously, you do want to discard spells, especially ones you can't cast. So Deathrite can do a little work. Wirewood's going to get used on James's turn. Going to untap Deathrite. Going to bring back Elvish Visionary, unsurprisingly. Use Deathrite again. Remove that Forest. Get yourself some black mana. Remove that Glimpse. Put James down to 9.
And now he's got an easy alpha to untap into.
Yeah, block the 3/2 power creatures, right? You block the Nettle, the Ooze. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's maybe not all the way there. I don't know if there's a spell in the bin. I mean, he's close.
Yeah.
You see Sam is actually doing the math right now on what happens if I do this. There's 10. There's 8. Take a draw.
I like starting off here because, again, if he finds Critter Hoof Behemoth, everything becomes much easier.
Yeah, for sure. Drew a Glimpse. I don't know if he has creatures in his hand.
He can rebuy the Visionary.
That's probably good enough.
Yeah.
Down to 7.
It's also a spell in his graveyard, so maybe he can just win with Deathrite.
Yeah, sure. Gonna use Deathrite. Now Wirewood's gonna go back. Wirewood's gonna use that, pick up the Visionary. Gonna use the mana. There's Visionary. Gonna draw 2. 1 from the Glimpse, 1 from this. No Crater Hoof yet. There's a Nettle. Down to 4. Hit 1.
The 4th natural order, I believe.
That's good to discard. That's what that is. There's 3. There's a Wirewood. Or excuse me, there's a Viridian Shaman. Take a draw. I think Elvish Visionary was the draw there. Again, Sam hasn't played his land yet, so if he has a Cradle hanging out, he can
does,
use that. Yeah. I'm going to do that. I'm going to tap for a whole boatload. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Look how fun my deck is.
Guys Cradle definitely got better with the change to the legend roll, that's for sure.
That's just good analysis.
Yeah.
That's all that is.
That's a big upgrade.
Yeah. 2 draws coming.
And it was no slouch before, you know?
Yeah. 12 mana floating. There's another glimpse. We're looking for a Crater Hoof. There's another glimpse.
All right. I believe that might be it.
I think that was the hoof, right?
I think that's big hooves.
There's an Abrupt Decay to kill Gaddock Seek. I guess that'll make it easy, too.
Yeah, that simplifies things quite a bit.
It looks like he picked up big hooves in his hand, though.
I think he still may respect, like, who knows what's going on with James's deck.
Yeah. Moment's Peace. Yeah, there's, yep.
Okay.
There you go. Mind Break Trap. Who knew? Yeah, you called it. Who knew? You know what you can't cast with Mind Break Trap? A glimpse, of course, when you cast a creature, you draw 2 cards. That's exactly why Sam drew 2. But when Galaxy's in play, can't cast Mind Break Trap.
Right. Oh, Sam.
Yeah, that's your own fault.
Hoisted by his own petard.
Yeah, you could have prevented that. But instead, you didn't. Now here's the Zenith.
Well, you know.
I guess he gets to cast all his other spells, so there's that.
I guess there's only so much damage that can be done here.
There's a Heritage. I'm wondering if the World Spine Worm is in Sam's deck now, because Crater Hoof is gone. To be fair, Sam does have a... Sam has another Crater Hoof in his sideboard, so he has access to 2. Don't know if he can actually work his way towards the second one. I wouldn't be surprised if he could. See him tapping a bunch of mana here.
Well, the big thing in my mind is, do you want to be bringing in the second Crater Hoof against the Pernicious Deed deck? I feel like probably not.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
You'd rather be trying to win with Progenitus or World Spine Worm, I feel like, against this sort of deck. But who knows?
Sam tapping some mana here.
Legacy Open players, that is
3 green.
Please finish this turn and get your
There's a
final
Wirewood
extension.
down to 2. That's going to untap the Nettles and allow him to draw a card. Actually, allow him to draw 2 cards. Oh, I think that's another Hoofy Hoof. 5. That's a World Spine Worm.
Yeah, so he did go for World Spine Worm.
Sure, why not? Sam looking at natural order right now, too.
I'm sure Sam would like to win the game this turn if he could.
I have a feeling he's going to.
Yeah.
Or I'd like to believe he will. How about that?
I mean, he is in a position where he could just simply cast World Spine Worm and pass if he was feeling so inclined. So I have to imagine he's trying to find a better route to potentially win the game this turn.
And there is the old 15-15 for 11 mana. Sure, if that's what it takes. I still natural order plan look pretty good. So, just got a black mana. That's why you see that off to the side. Looks like another black mana. 7. Gonna pick up this. Gonna untap this. Gonna use this. Remove that Mind Braid Trap, push you to 7. Maybe we're in the driver's seat to attack. Deathright's gonna remove that. You go down to 7 now? Look at these Deathrite Shamans go to work.
Yep, doing a lot of good work here.
Natural order. Mind Break Trap. All right. He brought in 2 for a reason.
Yep.
The problem is it doesn't beat the creatures in play. 4 mana. How about another natural order, shall we? Yep, with none floating. So there's that. That's an extension of the hand. Sam Black is going to win this match over James Hammies. 2-0. Combo Elves gets the job done against the very innovative Nick Fitdet. But we'll see if Sam is able to actually make top 8 with a win.
Yeah, Sam obviously still battling out here. It's going to be tough given the record.